We wrap up another week of Saluki Summer Basketball Summer Access coverage. It's hard to believe only 1 week left, and our last assistant coach saved the best for last. We'll try to not say that too loudly. With some assistants in the distance, Will Veasley back for year number 2 here at the Salukis. Will, appreciate the time, man. Man, how fast does this time really go for you guys as coaches? When you get everybody here, you're like, all right, you got a good 2-month stretch to get some work done. And now in a blink of an eye, you're already heading into the last week of the summer.
To be honest with you, well, first off, thanks for having me. Yes, thanks for having me. So last year, we thought last year was fast because we put together a team, got to learning the staff, learning each other, and then just learning the guys and stuff. We thought that was fast last year. I think this year has gone even faster, but for different. Like, it's been so fun. We've had so much enjoyment being around these guys, coaching these guys, learning these guys, interacting with them, and then just, they want to be in the gym, so keeping us busy. So it's felt like this has just flown by this summer.
When you're a coach and people ask you, hey, coach, how's the summer going? There's probably feelings as a coach where you're like, oh, if we were playing the day, I don't know if we'd win. There's always that feeling of, man, there is so much we have to do to get to where we want. But yet you compared last summer to this summer. It's not always fair to do comparisons, but at this point, Will, is there more of, man, I feel we've accomplished more basketball stuff this summer because of not just things that you guys just couldn't control. There was just so much new with everything a year ago compared to now where the staff was still the same this year, and you've had 6 guys who were with you a year ago, which was a much higher number than it was last summer.
Yeah, I think obviously with the carryover from returning players, staff, it's been a lot more basketball this year. We've, through the recruiting process, actually brought in guys that took care of the culture piece. There wasn't as much, this is how we do things, this is what it needs to be. Like, I think Drew, Mayo, Jorge, Heem, Rollins, Sykes, the guys that have returned have done a great job with the new guys where we haven't really had to police any of that stuff. It's been all them. And then you factor in the type of character and the type of young man you bring in, and it's been more of us getting them accustomed to how we play Saluki basketball more than anything off the court.
Again, you tend as a coach maybe to go more towards where can we be constructive and where can we continue to build it more so than really soaking in what you're doing well. But what has this group shown this summer when you guys have your staff meetings and you talk as a staff where you go, yeah, I know we're hard on these guys, but we're getting better in these areas?
Yeah, I think from day one with workouts and to where we are right now, like I think we've got our guys are really good basketball players, and it's been teaching them to kind of play our style of, the 2 feet, keeping the ball moving, less dribbling. I think our guys have done a great job of picking up all that stuff from, we want to play with the ball scores, not so much dribbling and ball screens and stuff like that. I think our guys understanding how we want to play defensively. They've picked up rotations. They've picked up ball screen coverages. We got guys suggesting ball coverages. So I think just a higher caliber in terms of intellectually and character-wise has helped with how they carry over things on the basketball court.
You guys as a staff, and you play basketball, of course, at an extremely high level, which we have talked about countless times in our interviews together. You're a smart guy when you go to Butler and you get that degree. So there's a lot of stuff mentally that you've been able to take in throughout your career. What's the most important thing when you guys get to a summer like this? You talked about the different ball screen coverages, and fans may think it's just simple. You just go out there and you just say, oh, just defend the ball. But there's a lot of communication, a lot of terminology, a lot of different defensive maybe schemes or terminology that you use. How do you best simplify it where the guys can really follow it and pick it up quickly, but also get to the point where you want to be in depth to where it can make your defense unique and be a major strength compared to other teams this year?
Yeah, I think obviously I think that's been the big thing. Coach Hawk does a great job with our defense. And as much as we felt like last year we kind of just jumped into it head on and just went full speed, the big emphasis this summer and this year has just been to, for the coaching staff as well, to just slow down, slow down, take things day by day, step by step, and just teach. Really, really teach, really make sure that, like, if a guy says, like, I understand, like, are you just saying it, or do you actually understand, what we're trying to accomplish here in building this? And I think it's been really good for everyone. Obviously, the carryover in that we've been here and now we understand what we're doing and stuff. But to actually be able to to sit down, to teach, to put in, you hear whole part whole, or we've been able to go from okay, this is the very basics of footwork, from the stance to our hands and stuff like that, to building that up to the whole part. We kind of went step by step, and now we get the big picture, and I think just from top to bottom, being able to put it in and getting it how we want it from day one, but just taking it slower and taking it step by step, and getting it to the thing we've been doing now is perfect possession. You guys know what we expect and what it should look like. Now it's putting it together where we don't want to have to tell you, hey, you need to be here, you need to be here. Now it's like you guys policing and controlling it yourselves.
It's easy to see when you come to practice, and whether it's for our fans or me who have the opportunity to come a lot throughout the summer, is Coach Nagy does a really good job of empowering you guys as assistants, where it's not his voice dominating the whole time. You guys really have the opportunity to coach these guys and coach them really hard. What's an area now going into year two, in your 2 years around Coach Nagy, where has he empowered you the most? Like, where do you go, man, I really appreciate about Coach because he pushes me to be empowering in this aspect of the program?
Yeah, you know what? I think he's been really good for me. He is basketball. There's not, he's not trying to trick people, or he's not trying to he's not trying to reinvent anything. Like, he wants to keep it simple, and how can we get our guys to not think, and how can we get them to play hard? And I think that's the best thing that's been for me is to, it's not reinventing the wheel or thinking of, how can we – it's basketball. You've been doing it your whole life. I've been doing it my whole life. Like, how can we keep it simple for them, and so that when they get out on the court that they can just play free? And for me, that's been the best thing is that I've just been able to, like, I'll watch film and I'll be like, oh, this, and I'm just like, no, like, because I had to sit and think for, an hour, 2 hours about, like, how am I going to expect them to put that on the court? And I think that's been the best thing for me being around Coach Nagy is just it's keeping it simple, and how can we accomplish what we want with those guys? We can think it and we can have, all this stuff, but I think, how can we get it to where they don't have to think and it doesn't slow them down, and they don't have to, there's not a million things going on in their mind, and they can just play free. And I think that's been the best thing for me with him.
This may be a question you get asked a lot because of the day and age that we're in college athletics and specifically basketball. I think everyone knows, whatever you want to call it, the elephant in the room. Look, there's a lot more money now in terms of the NIL that comes into play. How has that changed your role as a coach, more so of how you approach these guys of, hey, when you were at Butler, maybe when NIL wasn't obviously a thing at that time, you loved being coached hard by your coaches. Is it still the same case today? Do guys still love it when you as an assistant and all these guys really tell them what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear?
Yeah, you know what? I think definitely NIL has changed all that. But I think kudos to these guys, and I think that's one of the great things about this group that we have is that they want to be coached and held accountable, and we can coach them hard. And it's obviously we would never disrespect or anything like that, but we can still expect them to almost do the impossible, and that they will never question it. We can tell them what we expect to happen, and it doesn't happen, and for them to understand that what we're telling them and what we're asking is coming from a loving place. Obviously through the recruiting process, through the relationships we've built over these weeks, but kudos to our guys is they want to be coached hard and held accountable, and I think it's not like that at every place, you know. And obviously times are changing and stuff like that, but I think I've said it a few times now, just the caliber of young man that we have on this roster allows us to still be able to do that.
You work with everybody, but I see you work with a lot of the post guys. And Jorge Moreno has had a really good summer. He's a guy who is completely, again, as we have said time and time again, he's transformed his body. There was a time today when you guys were scrimmaging or playing, doing possessions. You're like, all right, George, you want the free throw? Going out, like taking accountability, wanting to shoot. What's impressed you about him this summer? And, again, it's not saying he's a finished product by any stretch, but what do you continue to tell him of, hey, you can be a huge part of what we need to be as a successful team this year? Because
of his experience and, obviously being older helps now in college basketball. I think just his veteran leadership, like he's played more than any other post player, on our roster. So I think obviously him being the example, doing everything that we've put in workouts in terms of running the floor, rebounding, being physical. Our thing defensively in the post is the best post defense is no catch, and just staying on him and coaching him hard, and him allowing us to, so that when the Rollins and the Daniels and the Jaheems of the world see all this stuff, that we're coaching him hard. That's how it has to be for me as well. But Jorge. I think one of the things that I've seen from him is just his confidence. Obviously changing his body, putting in the time in the gym and in the weight room, and the extra outside of it on the treadmill has done wonders for him. And him stepping up and wanting to shoot the free throw, to me, that was something that he probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
He probably would have waited until someone told him that he had to shoot the free throw. But for him to step up and be like, okay, we need somebody to shoot the free throw, I'll shoot it. Speaks volumes to the work he's put in. Obviously you said he's not a finished product, and I don't think we would be satisfied if any of these guys were finished products.
Yeah.
But he has the hunger to want to get better, to want to learn. He asks great questions when you talk to him and you're coaching him. And I think the best thing about it is he knows, I've got a lot of work to do, but whatever it requires, whatever it takes, like I will do it. And you'll never have to worry about that with Jorge.
How I may phrase this next question about Rollins, who we'll dive into, it almost may come across of like, man, is Luke questioning like his motor? And that's not what I want to imply with this at all. It's when Rollins finds that edge within a practice, I think you know exactly what I'm alluding to. He can be a menace on the boards defensively, which is, I think, what this team no doubt desperately needs and wants to be known as. What will be the key for him to harnessing that emotion and really getting that to be his every possession mentality? Because you can tell in a practice when that happens for him, I think it opens a lot of eyes and everyone goes, man, I'm glad we have him.
No, for sure. And that's one of the things we've talked about, for Rollins is, when we talked about defining roles and just, if we were to tell Rollins, concentrate on one thing, I think what you just talked about is it. Because the Belmont game at Belmont last year, that's the one obviously off the top of my head that I can think of. But, there's been so many practices, so many workouts, so many instances in other games as well, where you've seen that come out of him. But that's who Rollins is. Like we've always said, like, I'd rather have to turn someone down than have to turn them up, and that's him. He's someone like, you've never got to say like, Rollins, like, we need to get, like, that's how he plays the game, and I think that's one of the best qualities about Rollins outside of his personality and his infectious smile and stuff. But I'll tell you this, there was a period in time last season where we were kind of like waiting for someone to kind of like step up and be like, all right, like, who's just going to kind of take, who's going to tell everyone like what everyone is actually thinking. And out of all people, as a freshman, Rollins. And it was a huge turning point in our season. But it's the passion and it's the words that he spoke with is what you see on the court. He took his action and put it in words, and just the passion, the emotion, just just the look on his face, and as the words were coming out, like you couldn't help but to just in that moment just like feel every word that he said. And I think it was a huge turning point in our season last year.
And it's maybe this isn't fair to, explain it this way, but it's like sometimes I feel like he doesn't maybe understand how big he is and how much space he can take up. And man, when he does and it clicks, it's like, yeah, I mean that's what you and all the coaches and everyone's telling him.
And I think it's obviously it comes with being young still.
Yep.
He just finished his first year of college basketball. The scary part for everybody else in the Missouri Valley is when it does click to not have to be reminded of it.
Yes.
When it's just like as soon as he walks on the court, it's like apologize to y'all right now, but like I'm just bigger, I'm faster, I'm stronger. Like, and I think that's for the Valley is when is scary. But it's just for everyone it happens, and the realization comes at different times and stuff like that. But like we were talking about with Jorge, Rollins is far from a finished product. But once that happens, from day one, we've all thought like Rollins has the opportunity to be special.
To win a championship in the Valley and to be a good team in the Missouri Valley Conference, Will, it's not really changed even since your playing days. You have to have a team. It's not just one specific position, but you do look at the teams of recent memory who have been really good and have had the opportunity to go on to the postseason. Tremendous guard play. It appears that this is a team that could have really good depth at the guard spot.
Yep.
Why is there depth there with this group, and what impresses you from really Kelron to Isaiah to even some of the younger guys like Luke and Jalen as freshmen? What encourages you about the depth that can be there at your guard spot for the team?
Honestly, out of all the guys that we like, they're also such competitors. Like there's you can't take a day off in these workouts and in these practices, because all those guys, from Luke to Seahawk, to Kelron, to Jalen, to Zay, to Drew, to Mayo, you start naming off these guys, and you're just like, wow, they all bring something different. And I think the best part about it is they're great kids. But when it comes to these lines right here, like, they understand, like, I'm going to push him to make him better. He's going to push me to make myself better, and that's going to help SIU. And I think with those guys in our depth, this league has been dominated by guards like you just talked about. When I was first in this league at Illinois State, it was Wichita State.
Yeah.
The Ron Bakers and the Fred Van Vliets, of the world and stuff like that. I think with our guys, I think we've got a group of guys that all can do different things, and they're all special in their own way. They're all different in their own way. But we brought those guys in here because they all had that one common goal, and that was to do what you just talked about, and that's win a championship.
When you get to this point this summer, you kind of can see that light at the end of the tunnel where you're going to get a little bit of a break. But it was a question I asked Caden Hawkins to start off this week from a player angle. You guys as coaches, I've just reminded the guys, I know you can see the end here of summer, but we still have a week left. And most importantly, take care of yourselves when you do get a chance to go home.
Yep.
I talked to Max Picard. He's going to be able to go back to the Netherlands. Guys are going to be able to get home, but also know that still take care of yourselves in that time, because when we do come back, we don't want to digress from what you just accomplished here for 2 months.
Yeah. I think number one, I think this is an important time for them. Just I have no doubt that this next week will be a great week. Nobody will be a foot out the door or anything like that. But I think it is important to take care of your body, to rest. To be, 18, 19, 21, 22, and, to still go, to the Netherlands, go to St. Louis, go back to Texas, and, to be a kid still, and to enjoy some of it, to be around family and friends, to really just to level yourself back out, to ground yourself and everything. Like I know it was, as a former player myself, one of the things was to get back and to be home. but to still work, to still find those open runs, to still get in the gym. To obviously, I think the conditioning aspect is probably the biggest parts, because when you come back, it's how we got to get them back in shape and stuff. I think taking care of that aspect and coming back and being ready to go from there, obviously accelerates everything. But it's a much needed time. I think they need to get away. I think they need to go home and be around family and friends, and just to be a kid for a couple weeks and stuff like that. But obviously, the work can't stop either.
Now, more importantly, the Veasley kids, are there any special vacations here planned before the start of, I guess, the school year in later August? Any time here, any good vacations that Dad has planned here over the next couple of weeks?
It was not planned. It was not set to go like this, but as soon as our guys leave, we may have a trip to Florida lined up.
Oh, okay.
No, so my wife's side of the family always goes to Florida, like a week before school starts and everything. This is actually the first year that I will be able to join them. So
good.
I'll be in Florida.
What you mean? Like your schedule hasn't been able to work out? What are you talking about?
Someone's got to keep all these guys in check here. So unfortunately, I've been the one. No, they usually leave 2 or 3 days left of workouts. So I'm still usually here doing workouts. But somehow it worked out this year where our guys leave, and literally the next day they drive to Florida. So Dad will be there. My son we already planned a fishing trip.
Good.
But I'll probably have to just follow my daughter around in the water or something like that. She's a better swimmer than me, so she may be saving me. But no, I'm excited. It's the first time I've been able to go, and obviously with kids and in this business, they notice that I'm going a lot. So when they found out that I was going to go, they were super excited, and I was one of the coolest moments I've experienced as a father was to see the joy on their faces.
Well, Will, we enjoy to see the joy you bring to all of us here in the practices throughout the summer, of course, throughout the year. Appreciate the time, Will, and let's have one more really strong week and then enjoy at least you get to enjoy. I go right to Saluki football, and that's where it's nice here, temperature controlled.
Oh, the gym.
I'm going to have to bring multiple clothes just to get through the day with the football practices out there on the turf.
No, I definitely appreciate you having me. I'm obviously one of the best summers I've had in one of the programs that I've been a part of with everything that we've done, but someone's got to keep it going.
Yes, we absolutely just keep stacking it up, and that's exactly what we do. Will Veasley, assistant coach here for Saluki basketball. Again, we will wrap things up next week with head coach Scott Nagy.